everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio K-Man app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio K-Man app
is where you can listen to Radio K-Man everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiokman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio K-Man everywhere.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio K-Man's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio K-Man's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Another wonderful Wednesday's edition of Talk Today as we just get into the groove. The month of January just moves on and slides, and it gets better when the Wednesdays come on because we get a chance to get over the hump with some wonderful people to tell you about the creative juices that flow within our society. Want to know more? Well, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio K-Man's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. I want you to draw alongside, not just for the opportunity to hear about some great things that are going to happen that give you a chance to go and appreciate what we have, but as I welcome these gifted, very talented, and very, positioned and poised ladies to our studio, it reminds us of the immense talent that we have within our shores. And that should be, by all things, one that encourages, nurtures, and propels us to greatness on our own. Well, ladies, if I might say, Miss Catherine Tyson, and how should I say you're better 1/3?
One of my superstars.
One of your superstars?
That's what I call him.
Listen, from the words of mothers, only truth emanate. So, Miss Caitlin Tyson, to both of you, thank you so much for coming on board and sharing with us. But a blessed, happy, healthy, productive, safe, and just beautiful new year. And maybe the next 100 years will even get better as each second passes.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well. It's always a pleasure to be on. Happy New Year to everyone listening. Wishing you all the best in 2022.
Amen.
This got to be the year.
This got to be the year, and I think it will be. Working together, expectantly, jubilantly, and willingly together.
Absolutely.
Whatever we say is constructive. Whatever we hear is productive. But when we think of productions, for some of us, we make a production that's got another bit. For some of us,
Pretty much.
Pretty much, right? There we go. We haven't even done our hair yet. But I had the good fortune the other day, just before Christmas. You feel good for doing little things for people, and it reminds you, it's good to be able to give for someone. And I went into one of the print places, and there, in full steam was something. I only caught a glimpse of it. And I said, what? This is one of the times when you can be fast. So I asked the gentleman, can I have one? Because I recognize this. And he went on, that's such good. And that was just the program, for want of a better word. I thought, if this is just the program for the production, can you imagine what it is? So
Yes, the playbill.
The playbill.
we
Is that what it's called?
I know, we have some
Did you take it? You didn't take it. We should have brought one for you.
Okay, listen, I'm a West Bay, but that's as far as it goes.
Right, you said, let me just look at it. I'm not gonna take it. No, it's the playbill, and honestly, you're right. That itself was a production.
Yeah.
And Caitlin put so much into that, and she's just incredible. But I have never seen a playbill of a production in Cayman like that one. And that one is like one of the real Broadway productions for the musicals that are on Broadway. And honestly, she's a trained actress, so clearly, she wanted something that was going to emulate that, and she really did. And it's funny because we had started working on a little program, and I was so excited about this first draft. I was like, look at this. She was like, this is nothing. I don't want this. And I'm like, what? Come on. And when she was done with this thing, it went through so many different changes, and she sent that to me. I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, man.
Like, it really, really is incredible. So this thing has, from start to finish, Caitlin Tyson.
Well, I commend you
Absolutely.
publicly for it, and I must share that for whatever reason, and I'm glad that I didn't realize it till a good friend, she reminds me. I want to see the good in you. I want to celebrate your success as if it's mine, because if it's done and achieved, hey, look, that is possible, and it should elevate all of us. But at least we can clap and celebrate that thing that person has done at that time, right?
Yes.
And when I saw this, I go, this is a reminder of what we can do here. Not just the creative talent to put it together, but the actual facilities to bring it to a finished product.
Right.
And I sat there and I looked and I marveled and I thought, this is the miracle sort of Christmas in a sense, when I think about where we are in a time like this, to know that we have this within our grasp.
Right.
And that was just we call it the playbill.
Yes.
Okay. See, I learned a new word today.
There you go. Right.
Yeah, and I've always been really fascinated with things like this. Like, I love marketing, I love design, I love acting, I love editing. And so I've been doing it for like a really, really long time.
Yeah.
My brothers first, they were the ones interested in film. And my mom sent them to the New York Film Academy for like a summer program and everything. And they came back making all these short films and stuff. And slowly, I guess they were interested in girls and all kinds of stuff. And they got interested in other things.
Come on,
now.
Don't call them out.
And then, well, they were like teenagers, and I'm just watching, and I was like, I'm going to keep doing this stuff. And so, like, every website that I've had, I've designed it. Every business card, everything. I've always just done things myself, because commissioning that work is a lot of money too. So I'm always like, if I can do it myself, like, why not? And I think I got Photoshop when I was like 13, and I would always Photoshop pictures of celebrities and my friends, and I would show my mom, and she's like, oh no, like, I hope this isn't like affecting your self-esteem. This isn't how real people look, So it's like, no, I'm just fascinated with it, because I think being aware as well of what happens in the magazines and stuff, like, look how much work go into these pictures.
Right.
It's to sell products. It's not to actually reflect how human beings look in real life.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I do in that case, if I pick up a copy of the Inquirer and a copy of GQ, and I go, this is how the person looks really.
That's so funny. And just to really jump on that, we are here to talk about Saving Christmas Island, the musical, right? Yeah. And it's written and produced by Caitlin Tyson, and she has commissioned me to be the director, and so that's how I ended up on this project. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. But before we do that, I just wanted to piggyback on what Caitlin just said. So, I'm a single mother, right? That's my claim to fame.
Somebody's mama?
It was one of the greatest jobs that I could have been blessed to do, is to be a mother to these three amazing people that are now adults. And somehow along the way, I became a single mother, at 26. And Caitlin was 6 months old at that time. Wow. And it's very funny because of what she's saying in terms of her brothers, like watching her brothers do these things. Like, she's the baby, so no one knew she was like watching and getting all of this stuff. And so they were doing that. And when they stopped doing it, she continued. And because I raised such a tight ship, She was a room kid, she was a house kid. She was not on the road up and down. A lot of people are like, she wasn't raised here, was she? She didn't grow up here. I was like, yes, she was. She just wasn't on nobody's streets, running up and down. And even when she was running from Miss Cayman, like I got those questions like, she was schooling away or what? And I'm like, nope, she just didn't see her jumping in Baton Banu, when she was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18,
There's a value system. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while she's in her room, like this girl learned how to choreograph stuff. She was in dance classes. She was in acting class. Whatever classes I could put them in after school, pick them up. It was a very tight ship, like I said, but keeping them very active. And that's one of the things I always advise mothers, especially single mothers, to do is get your children involved in activities, productive stuff, and have them supervised when you're not able to do it.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. And perhaps at some point in our discussion, and for our listeners, especially now, and I look at this from the perspective. I tell people there's a difference between economics and finance. Right. And definitely a difference between accounting. You can count what's spent, but economics talks about the social implications of a lot of things. Right. And living on a wage, however much that is, there's a cost to that money that you spend, whether you have it or not. Right. To be able to put your children in activities. Right. There's a significant cost to doing it and a cost of not doing it. Absolutely. And I wonder to what extent our society appreciates that when a child isn't able to access that, what that's doing for that child, and worse, for the community at large, because you're denying that particular talent to be developed, and you're allowing that community not to even benefit from that. Right. So I wonder, as we look at the arts in particular, how much attention and respect are we paying to it so that we can produce,
Well, that's funny that you would say that, because, I'm a social worker by profession. I worked in a lot of programs, created a lot of programs, from a community level for vulnerable families that may not necessarily have the money to do certain things. I traded off. When I became a single mother, I knew I had to get education in order for me to be able to get a good job. So I focused on that for the first 3.5 years of my journey as a single mother to, end up with the degree. Exactly. When I was 30 years old, I got a bachelor's degree. And so I came back home at that point with my children and kind of equipped and armed with this profession that I could get a decent job to pay my bills and not just get by. So that's one of the things when people talk about going to school. I say, you got 3 kids? Oh, you don't? Well, don't give me any excuses. Go to college, get yourself together, because I did all of that with 3 children.
Get it together.
Yeah. But another thing I want to say is the trade-off that I had to make. Like, even my mom will say now, like at the time, she would say, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And, I could have bought a bigger house, or I could have had this, or I could have had that. And I said, no, because I have 3 children, so I'd rather put this money in education, or put it in activities, or put it in something that's going to be productive, and kind of have that trade-off so that they're able to really, just be robust, right? And so to kind of fill in the gaps of that second income or whatever. And a lot of people, will say they can't afford stuff. And I say the community has lots of free stuff, but you can afford it, because if you're getting your nails done, if you get, what I mean? Like, if we're wasting money all the time. So instead of me wasting money, I was trying to put it into areas that would build these 3 people, because I was, charged with this responsibility to build these 3 people. And she's an example of that I'm so very proud of, and her brothers, they're also amazing. Awesome. They're also amazing.
And that's why I kind of dragged them into the production too. They were kicking and screaming like, no, I don't do this. I don't do this.
I'm like, affair.
You might have forgotten, but I know what you can do. But just going off of that, what you mentioned about the arts and everything, I know with a lot of school systems, like, it's just, where do we find the money? Where do we find the funds and the space to be able to do things like this? And I remember I did 1 year of school in Miami. I think it was like year 2 or 3.
Right, like 2nd grade.
Yeah, it was like 2nd grade. And every week on Friday, we'd pick a book off of the bookshelf. Over the weekend, you would have to write a book report on that book that you read, and you'd also have to write what you did over the weekend. And every Monday morning, we would stand in front of the class. You can either act out what you did over the weekend, or you could do, you could just read off your paper.
Report, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, every week we're doing reading comprehension, we're getting to do public speaking, and this is grade 2.
Right.
So when I came back to Cayman and went to school, I was like a much better reader than a lot of people. I had read like 50 books.
Right.
And I would, you know, and I was 6 or 7.
Too, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like how many books you could read, how many, then you would get like little candies and all this kind of stuff. And so that was just something small. It didn't, and the books were all tattered and, you know, probably donated and things like that, you know?
And speaking of
so
that,
just being creative.
I remember you're jogging my memory. You'd come home with the paper and say, no, we have to read these before the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, she was a mess at 7 and 8. She was just like, you got to wake up, sign this paper. We have to go to the library. We have to get these books. I mean, she was so organized because you just literally just gave me back that memory of sign this. I'm trying to win the ticket to the movies, and I got to read 10 books by the 10th of, you know, August. And it was when I was doing my master's, by the way, that we had traveled back to Miami for that. So that was you.
See, that speaks to an ethos, right? Because sometimes we look within small pockets within even our own society, and we'll celebrate and somehow promote certain things and certain causes. But my perspective, and you can challenge me incorrectly, it almost seems to be do that at the expense of the bigger picture, for whatever reason, right? And I don't like that. That's when I say I want to celebrate your success. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're in my community and you achieve something, who are you from? Where are you from? This is something to me that I just feel good. Yeah. Because it's happened here. I can almost go down and stand very close and see it or touch it and be a part of it, unlike in a magazine or on television or some far off land. And we need to get to that space. And if you don't mind, you know, I've always said how I admired that tight knit. You see, I read about that tight ship. I admire that because that is the sort of thing that we need in our communities. We set the bar high. We continue to push it. We reward and recognize, you know, the accomplishments, and we do it in small little doses. Yeah. But we keep moving on. Yeah. And not just rest on our laurels, not just bemoan, oh, you know, it's too hard. That's too hard for you maybe, but it's not impossible.
I hope one day they'll have an interview with all 3 of my kids without me, and they can talk about, you know, kind of what happened in the house. Because I have my, you know, my version of it. But I was very, very, you know, just cognizant of the fact that, you know, I had these 3 people, and I brought them here. They didn't ask me. They were minding their business when I brought them to this world. And so they are my responsibility to ensure that they will be able to have amazing lives. Right? You know, when they're old enough to kind of come out of my house or whatever. And I think that's how we should be thinking about it as parents.
So when we come back from the break, because if it's okay, I think we can read the discussion to get people to appreciate that it's a family affair, whether it's your blood and biological family, whether it's the family, it's the wider community. If we support and rally, I've gotten to a space where I'm even more mindful and not too shy about saying it even publicly. I choose how I spend my time. Right. It's that one commodity that I have some control over, right? Just like what I choose to put into my body. And when you watch certain things unfold, whether it's, you know, a documentary or it's just something to entertain you or something that's happening literally in front of your face, right? You need to be consciously aware of what it is. And if we're not actively engaged, we can't be innocent bystanders and pretend that nothing happened, right? Yeah, absolutely. So when we come back, tell us more about it and the fact that, you know, here we have this family, as you said, you know, affair, utilizing the talents, but showing the need and the benefit and the value of being supportive. So let's extend that family to the 100,000 that are here now. I don't know what the number is anymore. You know, I think about it knows. And let's figure it out because it is what, you know, we can do together. So the Tysons, not Mike, and what was her name? Robin Givens. Yeah, that was the Liddish. Was that Tyson? All right, let's pause. And I want to hear more about this play because we had this would be what they call after the curtain call. No, you come back on encore presentation. Encore. Yeah. So I learned playbill, encore. There's probably another word I can learn today. Learn 3 words a day, and you know 3 more words they didn't know the day before. All right. All right. I'll talk to you in a bit. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Study local and go far this spring. Want to start your bachelor's or associate degree or just need a few classes to complete? Registration is now open for spring classes at UCCI. Scholarships are available for the spring semester, but you need to act now to meet the deadlines. Visit www.ucci.edu.ky to enroll now. Classes begin January 10th. Enroll by December 1st for a chance to win an iPad or a laptop.
The Ministry of Education invites eligible Caymanians to apply for overseas government scholarships for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for an overseas government scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship programs, please visit the recently upgraded scholarship application portal at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Monday, 31st of January, 2022.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And as we look to the new year with hopeful expectation, as I say, let's look within and let's look amongst ourselves and see the great talent we have. Actor, producer, and I don't even want to say like former Miss Cayman because once you are, Miss Hyatt to me will always be Miss Cayman, right?
Right.
So
one of our Miss Cayman Islands universe in 2018, the 2018 Miss Cayman Islands universe. That's what we do that too. Instead of saying former, we say she's Miss Cayman Islands universe 2018.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I learned that's maybe one of the few times when you start to recognize a sort of. And I appreciate that. And I'm so grateful, honestly, that we have this within the Poise degrees. There's so many of you. Another young lady that stands out, Tiffany Conley. You watch her, whether it's wrenching a tool or, taking a saw. I'm thinking, that's amazing.
Exactly. We're proud of them.
We just have to be.
Proud of them.
Proud of them.
Proud of all y'all.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Who you for is important.
And that's very important that you say that too, because I think that is important for us to recognize that, because we are needing to ensure that they have a way. We're paving the way for them to get there. And this musical that she has created is one example of all of the amazing young people that we have on this island that showed up for Saving Christmas Island. And we can talk about that.
So Saving Christmas Island, the musical, is an original musical that I wrote during lockdown. So this was last year during the summer. I was writing, just trying to find some joy. And so I went straight into what makes me feel joyous. It's Christmas time with my family and the love that we share. I think last year we didn't even really exchange gifts. We just wrote each other cards, heartfelt cards and everything, and one of my favorite songs is Love is Christmas, and that's really what I feel that Christmas is about. And so that's the headspace that I was in. And so I wrote this story about someone feeling trapped in their circumstances. I think a lot of us last year, even now, still feeling a little bit trapped. Like we can't see the bright side of things. We try, but you have those good days and you have really, really low days as well. And so I wrote it with some well-known and loved characters. So there's Santa Claus and Buddy the Elf and the Grinch is in there, and some Disney favorites as well. So it's Moana, who's feeling stuck on her island, wishing for a winter wonderland, wishing for, something that she's never experienced before. And her friends come to spend Christmas with her, and something happens that causes there to be a storm that freezes over the island. And so now they have to either save Christmas or find out what to do. So that's really what it's about. There's a lot of twists and turns. It's fun for the whole family. It's not just for kids. So I've had a lot of adults like, wow, that was a great story. It gets pretty intense, and I appreciate that as well. But it's something that I think all of us really could take something from, because in Cayman, we've been really lucky. We've been really blessed. And I feel sometimes when you kind of look at what's going on around the world, you realize that even more, that, wow, we have been really blessed. But still, you can feel like...
We've been blessed as a nation for so long, and we've taken so much for granted. And it's been discredited, right? And then on one side of the coin, we've got to be careful that as the world continues to march on, that we either don't follow suit and get it wrong, or we become almost militant in trying to control. Life is about embracing it, giving it thanks, and helping each other.
Exactly. Friendship, love, forgiveness, those words that are, kind of cliche, but that's really what life is about. I've come to that realization this year. I'm saying the meaning of life is to enjoy it.
Right.
Okay,
no expectations, no anything. Just enjoy the time that we have here. I know we all have goals, we all have plans, but enjoy the time that we have because it's not promised. And so that's really what I wanted, is to bring some joy into people's lives with this. And we had an amazing cast and crew come on board, and it's been amazing. The actors that we've had, some of them is their first time even stepping on a stage.
Wow.
And they have wowed me. And I'm someone who, like you were saying, I cheer for people. Someone's like, oh, I don't sing well. I'm like, who cares if you don't sing good?
Make a joyful noise.
Right. I was like, who cares? People in the audience are going to look and be like, wow, I could do that too.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's about. I don't feel like if you're afraid of something that you should stay away from it. I feel like if you're afraid, jump into it.
Right.
But that's the encouraging, nurturing environment in which you have, right? We do have a caller online. I want to talk more and continue about the play because it helps us, right? But let's go to our phones. Oh, okay. And I use the headset to keep my hair in place.
Well,
I'm not sure what's going to happen.
We have opposite problems. As you can see.
Catherine Tyson and Caitlin Tyson are our guests. We're talking about Saving Christmas Island. I can hear the song now. All right, let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, and good afternoon to Miss Catherine and her beautiful daughter.
Good afternoon, man. And you taught me a phrase. Was it Ik Malad Majid? So you got to teach me another one, how to say good afternoon.
First, I want to say good afternoon to the most good mother in this island, Miss Catherine, and to her beautiful daughter. I'm proud to know this family, the Tysons, from a long time. Miss Catherine, God bless her kids. She grew them in a good way, very successful, very intelligent, and she did a very great job as a mother. And I think she is a great role model as a mother in this island, and I'm really proud of her always, because she is a very good lady.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
And I just called to say Happy New Year to them, to the Tyson family, and I wish you all the best this year, and I wish you succeed in everything you're doing. I know your daughter, she's doing a little
we just lose it.
She gives the town to somebody else.
So, Amjad?
Yes?
Yeah, we just lost that part of you then, right? But you wish them well success. I just want to make you know that was a bit low.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks very much. Right. Have a wonderful time, and we'll chat with you again, man.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That level of positivity, right, transcends all of us, and the ability to use this platform. And this is one of the many reasons why I like Radio Cayman, whether it's a sports, whether it's a community event. For us, to get on the radio and say, I'm in East End, I need to get in touch with Georgie and the rack. Can you give me a call?
That too.
We should do that still,
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that, and Happy New Year, and thank you for your support. And with things like this, you can't do it without support. You need the support, whether it's of your family, your friends, your loved ones. And we've had some amazing sponsors come on board and support us as well. And so I just want to shout them out really quickly. That beautiful program, Playbill, that was printed was by PBS. That's Productive Business Solutions. Amazing. They did such a great job with it.
They did.
It's gorgeous. It feels good in your hands. And Davenport, the Wellness Center, Health City, Cayman Islands, Parcel 110, Signs of Paradise, Tomlinson Furniture, Beyond Basics, Tywell Construction, and Missing Link Training and Counseling Support Services. Thank you so much for the support. And I think we've had some angel sponsors as well that want to remain anonymous. And so thank you if you're listening. But it makes such a difference once you have that support. You feel like, oh, I really can do this.
Somebody
people believe in you, right? That's the main thing with the playbills that I want to show. I always want to share the love, like you're coming to see something that I've created, but I want you to see who helped out. I want you to see read everyone's bio.
Program as well.
Yeah,
it's
looking
gorgeous.
At
it makes a big difference.
It really does.
Yeah,
and I think that's where
we have
many
to get
times.
one. I'm so excited about it.
No, you should be, because I think too many times, and I never want to be disrespectful. I don't have a problem with saying something that may be cutting if I deliberately conscious to do that, take responsibility for it. But we got to start rewarding mediocrity. But we got to recognize that we have talent. We can raise the bar. Right?
You didn't said a word.
Yeah, you're preaching now.
What he said was, we need to stop. What is it? We need to stop rewarding mediocrity. I have to repeat it.
You have to repeat it.
Because I want people to hear that it's not only Catherine that said that. It's Sterling, Dwayne, and Banks. Stop rewarding mediocrity.
But I mean, the thing
stop
is,
accepting it. Stop just wanting to be mediocre.
Yeah,
shoot for the stars.
Your best is your best, whatever that is, right? If me and Pele were playing football, I'd be honored just to even be in the stadium to watch him play. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I go on the pitch with him. I'm not expecting to be as good as him.
Right.
I expect to be my best.
You try your best.
And if you're not as good as him this first day, does that mean that you stop?
Exactly. And then tomorrow I'll be better than today.
Exactly.
And pay attention
and that's the thing. We had 4 showings of Saving Christmas Island at the Hartwell Theater. Every show better than the last.
Right.
Way better. Our closing weekend was sold out, and it was beautiful. And seeing everyone come off stage proud of themselves, because that's the thing. Yeah. When you don't just get through something, but you put on a great performance, you feel that pride. And so that's why everyone's calling, you got 10 more tickets, you got 5 more tickets, you got this.
Right.
It's like we had to do an encore performance. So that's what's happening this Saturday, January 8th at the Hartwell Theater, Saving Christmas Island. If you want to get your tickets, you can call 916-5349. You can also visit us on Instagram at Christmas_musical_KY. So if you're wondering, what's the name of that Christmas musical again? Instagram, Christmas Musical KY. You'll find us there. And you can also get your tickets on rumrunners.ky. Please don't wait till last minute, because that's what happened on closing night, where right before, an hour before the show started, we had 20 calls of, I get 2 tickets, 3 tickets, 5 and like, get your tickets early, be proactive.
Yeah.
And because we want as many people to see it as possible, we have limited seating due to COVID, so we're at half capacity, so those tickets go really, really fast. But we want to make sure, and we have a live stream available, so there is a virtual ticket as well. If you're in quarantine, if you're overseas, you'll be able to watch it. So that's Saving Christmas Island. So check us out on Instagram, Christmas_musical_KY. It's a great story for the whole family. We have amazing adult actors playing these roles, so it's not a kid's.
Not a kiddie thing.
Yeah, no. People put a lot of work into it,
but
it shows the professionalism. It shows the respect that you have for the production, but for the audience as well.
Right.
I mean, how many of us? I keep coming back, as I said, time. How many of us have done something and go, well, that's a waste of time? Yeah, dude, you knew that from the beginning, but you opted to do that. This is not a waste of time. No. This will bring you to a space where love, you'll appreciate.
Yeah, and start 2022 with that. Like,
positivity.
I think, this
I keep
new
saying
year.
That little last drop of Christmas cheer to start the new year.
Yes.
Just like get that last little drop in there and start the year off right. Because I really do feel so fulfilled with this experience. And again, like when I look around and see my mother, Catherine, Tyson, directing and calling the shots back there with a headset on,
in her element.
Yeah, in the bed slippers backstage,
because
it's
I wish I could see the musical. I wish I could see the play. It is not an easy job.
No.
I can tell
all
you
my family that are helping out, that are saying like, I thought we were going to be invited to see the show, not work the show. I'm like, no, sorry. No. But we have amazing stagehands, and people have jumped on board to help us, and that's what makes me so proud of this whole thing. We have Josefa Martinez, who is an amazing actress, but she has taken on the reins of our stage manager as well backstage. Her and Shirley Allen. Thank you both so much for being there, because live theater is so unpredictable. I'm sure you experience that even here on live radio,
It's easy.
It's easy now, right?
There are no problems. I mean, please.
Yeah. No problems ever.
Never.
But the show must go on. and that is something I've really, really learned with this experience. Everything you thought couldn't have happened, and we still put this on and brought some joy to people's lives.
And that's the benefit of a good team. the importance of working together and getting joy out of what you do. Your mom always says, if you do something, do it right the first time and do it with pride. Doesn't matter what you're doing, right? You do it to the best ability and with pride.
Exactly.
And this production, the fact that you were able to look at it, and each one, and when you do something like cooking, with that recipe you made all the time, that it tastes better, tastes different. If each time it feels better and it improves, that's a testament to the love, the pride that you have in this thing, and the respect and reverence for the audience, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm very proud. Also, I'm so proud of my daughter for doing this, but I'm so proud of the professional woman that she is. So it's not just my daughter, right?
Right.
It's this young professional Caymanian who is trained in these areas, right? Who's loved the arts her whole life, who now has done this very professional production. And that has been the biggest form of joy for me, to just stand alongside of her as a professional and see how she conducts herself, and to see all of the young people that have come on board, as well as some of us in our other age other age realm,
the age of maturity,
right? And being able to walk side by side alongside each other, and funny enough, there have been changes like the day before the performance that we've had to land on our feet like a cat, literally. Yeah. And her initials are Cat too. So
just throwing that in.
So we've had to land on our feet and make changes, and the changes have been, kind of just performed on stage, and no one knew the difference, Yeah. But it was because of the stellar cast of Caymanian millennials that have been. Let me tell you,
because we had an actress, Kimberly Carlos, who's first runner-up Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2021.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Just the other day.
Yeah. And she's played 3 characters in the production. She went home, and in a week she had to play another character, and that's what we call in the business a swing.
Yeah.
So you're learning another term. So.
I know from a dance, or is it a music thing, but swing? Okay, so
a swing is someone that you come on board to fill in. So an understudy will be an understudy for one role, right? But a swing is that you might have to play this one, that one, or any of these 5 roles.
And the reason,
you have to be ready to go on at any moment. So for professionals, this stuff is hard, like to jump in. So for people who are like, I've never done this before, and to be able to pull it off, I can't even express how proud and how grateful I am.
And one of the reasons was because one of our main actresses got COVID, so she could not perform. So then Kimberly was asked to learn those lines in 2 days or something, and so she did her role and that role, and then by the next night we were like, all right, we'll drop your first role, because this is just it's just been such an amazing,
but it shows the talent that we have,
thing that we have.
It shows the talent and the dedication, and to push yourself.
Work ethic too.
Work ethic.
We have the final break to take. We'll come back, we'll conclude, but invite people to be a part of it. I mean, Saturday is just a couple of days after today. We'll find out what it is. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for a limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years,
so much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The Honorable Minister of Health and Wellness, Ms. Sabrina Turner, would like to wish all Cayman Island residents a happy and prosperous new year. Prospect residents, you're invited to a free health screening by Public Health, Thursday, January 6, from 4 until 7 p.m. at the Constituency Office of Minister Turner at number 33 Marina Drive, Prospect. COVID-19 vaccinations will be available. For more information on the health screening, call 746-9314.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And we'll take a few more minutes as we go up today. Headline news at 1 to honestly celebrate and share with Caitlin Tyson, and I don't want to say anything else other than her director and Saving Christmas Island, also her mom,
right?
Catherine Tyson. The two of you, together with the phenomenal cast that you've assembled, put together a true world-class production that, whether we're in Broadway or somewhere else, we can be proud of it, and we can expect the professionalism, be entertained, enthralled. At the end of the day, not just amazed, but encouraged by what this thing. So you said a drop of Christmas spirit. I'm thinking, that's a 5-gallon bucket, at least. if not a 50-gallon drum.
Maybe.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. So I got married last year. Couple months, not even 2 months. So I'm Tyson Sewell now. So I just want to say that.
Oh, I saw in the playbill.
Yes, yes.
And she got married, and the next day was at rehearsal.
Yep,
that's a professional.
That's
director.
the ship she ran.
Yeah. Well, it isn't
the whip on my back.
Because I had a chance to
because I'm her mother,
to peruse the playbill. I know that the husband plays a part as well.
Okay.
Yes, he's the set builder. So all of the beautiful sets that you see on stage, he built those. I mean,
and
it's amazing. So that's Ramon Sewell of Tywell Construction. Thank you so much. We also had Aston Ebanks doing all of the painting of the sets and everything.
Yeah.
So we had amazing sound engineer Sean Ebanks.
Yes,
we had a fabulous music
and those
director.
are all family that we're talking about too. By the way, it was a family affair.
Well, this one's not family. The music director Junior Hines,
right?
Yeah.
Everyone, the crew, and Sands Creative Limited and Zeal who came in as our videographers. Everybody, I appreciate you, and you made this production stellar. And that's always what I'm trying to do, is always try to elevate, right? If you did something, we got through that. That was easy. How can we make it even more challenging? How can we make it even better, right?
Yeah.
And I find a lot of people kind of shy away from those challenges, and I'm excited by those things. I've done a lot of productions at the Harkwell, and so with this being my first, I was like, I want projections. I want snow. I want smoke. I want this.
She has it all.
I want quick changes.
She has it all.
I want
Why
lightning.
not?
She has all of this
She
stuff.
has a magic carpet being flown. You can't miss it. People, you cannot miss this. There's literally snow. There's a storm. There is a magic carpet. There are clouds. Listen, if you've gone to Broadway, you've seen it, but you haven't seen it in Cayman. So you cannot miss it.
It's awesome. And I'm excited of what can happen next year. What can happen the year after that.
This year.
If someone...
We're in 2022.
We're in 2022.
I'm thinking.
But that's what I'm excited for, even for people to see it and say, hey, I want to do something like this. I encourage that kind of thing. I'm never trying to gatekeep anything. There's enough room for everybody
the world is big.
to shine, to write something. If you're like, I want to do a story like this, write it. And that's one of the things a mentor of mine and an instructor of mine said to me, is that if there's work that you want for yourself, why don't you create it? Why are you waiting for someone to give you that job?
Yeah.
You can create that opportunity for yourself. And And what you were saying about just being better and trying to be better every day at whatever it is that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That was another thing that she said. She asked me a question of, okay, so if you were in a room with all of your idols, then, you know, people that you admire within your field. So for me, like Viola Davis and Meryl Streep and all these people, if you were in a room with them, would you be ready right now? And so I was right out of acting school. I said, no. And she's like, well, that's what you do now. Get ready.
Get ready. That's right.
Just go and get ready.
They're just people.
You're right. And every experience is going to bring you closer to being ready to step into that. So that's what I wanted for everyone a part of this production is if you've not done it before, this will be your first. And then the next one will be less scary.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be able to adapt quicker. So please come out to see Saving Christmas Island this Saturday, January 8th. Starts at 7 p.m. at the Harkwell Theater. You can get your tickets by calling 916-5349, or you can send us a message on Instagram at Christmas_musical_KY, or you can get your tickets on rumrunners.ky. But we have instructions on how to get your tickets as well on Instagram. So make sure, get your tickets. It's half capacity, so they will go very fast. We had a sold-out closing weekend. So don't be the person on Saturday at 6:30 calling us saying, do you have any more tickets?
Right.
We want everyone to be able to see this. And there's also a live stream available. So get your virtual ticket if you're not able to come out physically.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you not just a phenomenal encore production, but other wonderful productions. And
thank you.
Publicly, between now and you know the next 1,000 years as we come into the studio, share with us. Encourage a rising tide floats all ships.
Right.
Catherine?
I know you won't be there because you go to your cave on the weekends. But if you happen to peek your head out, maybe you could get to the Harkwell also Saturday, 7 p.m. We'll leave a ticket for you at the gate.
You are, you know what? You are an amazing lady, and we share stuff, and you know it's. I'll speak to you during the news break.
Thank you so much for having us this afternoon.
Yeah.
Though.
No.
I appreciate this.
It's my honor, and I like the fact that through what you're sharing, not just the production, but the way you have made it so inclusive, that it'll cause the rest of us to appreciate. You know what? This is a new year. I don't use this word lightly. People talk about New Year's, resolutions. Make it a revolution, a transformation.
Yes.
Right.
Raise the bar, change who you are, your perspective, right? Get you, together so that at the end of the day, you are that example, that change that you want to be.
That's right.
What was it with Ken they talked about, if not now, when, if not me, who?
Right. And
this is what you're doing. You get into the room with your idols, and you realize they're flesh and blood, bro.
Just resolve to be better. Yeah. Resolve to be a better you, to have a better year, to just make better memories and make better connections. That's all. It's
all about your choices. So you can choose to change. You can choose to start over. You can choose to do something new. There are so many possibilities. Life, I know people say life is short, but life is the longest thing any of us will ever do. Guess what? Every day you get to choose how you're going to live it. So don't let it just fly by. So choose to come and see these amazing people in action this Saturday at
January
the Harkwell Theater. If you want to see Wendy Miller, Lloyd Barker, Richard Tyson, Kimberly Carlos, let me name everybody else.
Yeah. Samuel O'Gara.
Yes. We also have Jose Hernandez Allen. We have Sidoni Barrett, Lisa and Jody Wellman, David Tyson as well. The the Bayani Han Choir. We have
Christ the Redeemer Church.
Yes, and they're so fabulous. So if you want to see all these people in action, come out and see them this Saturday, January 8th at the Harkwell Theater in Saving Christmas Island, because...
And tickets, you go to IG,
amazing.
You can find...
That's right.
Find your tickets. But
that's right. Or find us. Someone, if they can find us, they can get a ticket.
Yeah, it's a new year, and just come and support something that's beautiful, and, it's going to bring more joy. More joy in 2022.
There you go. You know what? Maybe later on in the month, we have a post-production sort of discussion of as we dissect what happened and talk about what's going to come up. The next short film that your sons may put together.
Let us know.
All right. But congratulations again. Thank you so much. And hopefully,
Thank you.
I'm sad in the sense that here's one of the things where sometimes legislation and regulations can limit community enjoyment. But there is the virtual ticket. So if you choose for whatever reason or you can't be in person, you can at least be in attendance, right?
Well, I say if you can't get to Broadway, we brought it. So, you know,
That's
if
right,
you're not on a plane to New York to Broadway, then just be in a car on the way to the Harquail on Saturday night.
Perfect. Well, congrats again. Thank you so much for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you again.
And for our community, when we come back, we're going to show you why you celebrate and why we need to come in and encourage the greatness amongst us. Stay tuned. We'll talk today.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Tuesday evening, government reported 491 new cases of COVID-19. There have been 89 confirmed cases of the Omicron variant in the Cayman Islands, with an additional 476 suspected cases. 6 COVID-19 patients were hospitalized in the Cayman Islands as of midnight on Tuesday. Turning to international news now, Israel opened to tourists for the first time in nearly 2 years. After just a month, it slammed shut. Now the Omicron variant has set a widely expected record for new infections in the country, which will once again crack open on Sunday, but only to travelers from certain nations. The back and forth has created whiplash for many Israelis, even in the relatively small, wealthy Mid-East nation, an early global leader against the coronavirus pandemic. The Omicron variant is outpacing the government's ability to make and execute clear pandemic public policy. More than 3,000 passengers and crew were being held on a major cruise liner in Hong Kong on Wednesday morning after a COVID scare prompted authorities to order the ship to return to port. 9 people on board Royal Caribbean's Spectrum of the Seas, which was on a cruise to nowhere around the South China Sea, were identified as close contacts of a positive COVID case. The 9 close contacts were sent to a government quarantine center after the ship returned to port on January 5th, according to a Hong Kong government statement. Those are your headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. Maybe we'll resolve this year to be more resolute. Maybe we will consider the blessings that we have, or we will look very closely at what is it that we comment, not necessarily complain. And in that, we'll recognize that it's not always as good as we would like it to be, but we can make it better. And if in so doing, when we look in the mirror, we'll ask ourselves, what is it about our lives and ourselves that, well, we don't necessarily like at that particular time? Not to beat ourselves up, not to wallow in self-pity, not to look in a way that just brings ourselves down, but to acknowledge the realities. For some of us, we may have seen the toll of life and the lack of activity and realize, we're not as healthy as we want to be. Well, if we're age 50 or we are, 10 years older than we were when we first had that thought process, recognize that 10 years has passed. So don't try to reverse it in 10 seconds or in 1 year, but in small, bite-sized chunks, as it were. So if we want to get healthy, well, maybe there are 2 things that we need to do immediately. Start moving, start exercising, and perhaps look very consciously and smartly at what we eat. That may lead us to speaking to our physician, have her tell us and guide us so that we are doing it healthy. We may start speaking to a personal trainer or the like, so that we are doing the exercises properly and appropriately for ourselves. So once we do things smartly, we will get there. And once we don't expect an immediate gratification, the microwave mentality, as Chico reminds us sometimes, that we seem to have adopted in societies these days. Let's take it. We always hear, the longest journey begins with a single step, but we never start. And so we put that one foot in front and we move slowly. Now, there are many of us with great mobility, but we are as stationary, as it was at one time, the reef in the North Sound. Now, apparently we can transplant that, but we'll see. But some of us, we have a limited mobility, and yet we're more active. So let's use the talents we have. Let's not, ignore the realities, but let's be grateful and move. And let's move together, and let's help each other, and let's draw alongside in a nurturing way, and try to say and do everything in a respectful, responsible manner. If I can, again, say very publicly how we have such great talent within our community. And this Saturday evening encore production of Saving Christmas Island, Caitlin Tyson, not just as the Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2018, as the playwright and the like, but all of the cast and as part of the audience, we can appreciate. It may encourage us, inspire us. It may cause us to recognize that we too have so much. And as Miss Catherine Tyson so wonderfully drops, as she says, copy the playbill for me. Well, if you can, go in person. If you choose not to or are unable because you're, on the measures pertinent to the regulations and you can't move about, well, use the virtual ticket. All right, it's open line. It's a Wednesday, and let's hear from you. We're honored to have His Excellency the Governor in the studio tomorrow. God's will and that will transpire. We have a chance to chat and not just show deference to the gentleman, to his office, but to recognize that as the sort of senior member in our community in terms of our governance, we get a chance to have that access. Radio Cayman is the national radio. It's not, something that we see in perhaps other jurisdictions where the ruling political part of the day use it as its, propaganda platform. It is the community station where, in all seriousness, if someone calls up and says, hey, I need to reach someone, it was a time we could do it, whether it was the days of 8 on air or the others, or whether it's now. Or you see appeals from people where they've misplaced their keys, and the community says, hey, I found a set of keys that they, here or there. We need to be that loving, caring, concerned community. I recall immediately following Hurricane Ivan when businesses, as part of their contingency plans and business continuity sort of operations, move staff members to other jurisdictions. And some of you travel to other places and end up in smaller communities, not unlike Cayman of not long ago. And we're amazed that roundabouts actually work. People were courteous. People would have, yard sales, and of course they call them different things. But it was, you put the things on the front yard, you had a little box, and people would lift it up and put their money in and not take it out. And they would take the things and pay for it. Now, that was probably the Cayman once. Is it still the Cayman today? And if it isn't, why? Why is it that we accept that? And I said earlier, not to offend, but it may inflame some. Let's not reward mediocrity. You don't need to be better than others. You just need to be better than, what you were, because you're trying to be the best you. Now, not to pressure ourselves and not to enjoy what we have, and not to sit and celebrate sometimes our accomplishments, because we are sometimes our worst enemies and our greatest critics. But as a community, if we're supportive and nurturing, loving, kind, caring, considerate, we'll see it, that much better. If you think about it, if we're all on the road going in the same direction and we're driving along safely, following the speed limit, we'll all get there. If one or two of us decide to, go full speed and go down the wrong side of the road or do other things, that may cause others to sensibly say, whoa, better slow down, pull to the side, be careful because I don't want to get an accident. And that has a negative consequence for everybody else. They're having to respond. That one or two may get ahead at the expense of the others. But if we all move along together, now think about it. Working hand in hand, or do we pull each other apart? Well, give us a shout and share your thoughts with us. 949-8037. You can WhatsApp 925-3261, or you can use the toll-free line with the compliments of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. It's the new year. It's a Wednesday. It's only a few days into January, and as we look at how the year was one prior and the one prior to that. But what about 2019? What about 2018? What about 2008? Yeah, some of us can go back to 1999, on the eve when we were being told and we had the view that, stroke of midnight, everything was going to reset, and planes would fall from the sky, and there was this big mass hysteria about there was not sufficient space on the ground to park all those planes. There was a lot that was happening. Maybe you'll harken back to those days and the fear that we have. Well, let's face them head on. Let's face them together, and let's work to make it better. So what's on your mind? What are your plans and desires for this new year? Or what is it that you wish somebody would say and you're just trying to figure out how to say it because somebody needs to hear it? Well, share it. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261, and share your thoughts with us as we move along and invite you to be a part of today's discussion. We'll pause quickly and take that break at 1:15, and hopefully invite you to share your thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
In Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, it was around the same time as the emancipation process that permanent settlements, or rather resettlements, began on the islands, and was largely via the whites, who had never owned slaves. However, the first certain knowledge of settlement was during the early 1830s. The James Minot slave census of 1834 recorded that a Mr. William Page was living on Little Cayman with 6 slaves. The following year, Captain Pack arrived on Little Cayman to read the Emancipation Proclamation to Page and the slaves, after which the slaves are believed to have left.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from Founded Upon the Seas, A History of the Cayman Islands and Their People by Michael Creighton and the New History Committee.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Probably other ways that you can get into the discussion, but those are probably some of your better options. Now, it's open line, and what's on your mind? Now, yesterday, I'm glad that Shane Nobi Edwards was able to share with us. And he has been, understandably so, a true champion for the environment. A cultural promoter and supporter, nurturer, encourager, someone who sees the importance of promoting and defending not just what is probably one of the more peaceful, tranquil parts in our eastern districts. And as he shares the concerns relative to what potentially could transpire with private ownership of properties, as he sees signs going up like many of us, relative to lands being for sale because those who own it see that they can be leveraged and position them financially to be in a better state. Now, as he talks about the Collier's Pond and sharing yesterday that the clearing, as one caller off air shared, the hacking down of the trees at times, sometimes we need to be a little bit more understanding of how we strike that balance between what we have and what we want, but also in what we're doing. And now, from reports, it would seem that the utility company are now installing their light poles along the boundaries. So workers are doing what they're instructed to do, and people are sometimes do what they're permitted to do, or what they may feel they have the authority to do, or what they can do, and then afterwards say, well, it's done, too bad, too sad. But the question is, though, how do we strike a balance between where we are? I think, for instance, again, the comment he highlighted yesterday relative to one of the line items in our budget, $1 billion for some seems almost like an amount that we can't comprehend. For others, that's a drop in the bucket. When you think of the relative wealth of nations and of individuals, or whether they're royalty or otherwise. Now, 21 million to restore or try to do something with the beach, is that money well spent? Is it just a drop in the bucket? Is it something that we'll see what happens and, oh, bad, it's only 21 million, no big deal? Or is it that it's going to come with some level of maybe exchange? We're going to do this, but we need this in return. Sometimes we probably don't appreciate the importance of the roles we play, nor of the need to ensure that the greater good is served. Sometimes we are well-intentioned, but at the end of the day, our actions don't always result in the positive consequences that we were hoping for. Is that because we were rushed? Is it because we didn't take time to listen to other opinions? Or is it sometimes because those opinions were never offered? Oh, they don't want to hear that. They don't listen anyway. Well, if you didn't say it and share it, perhaps you won't know. But even if they don't listen, at least you said it. Not to be in a position only to say, see, I told you so. But at least you'll be in a position to say, well, I could have told you, but you didn't. Sharing sometimes is the best way to ensure that we get something done together. Now, many of us don't appreciate the immense responsibilities that some of us have assumed or have been asked to shoulder. Many times, we take on those responsibilities without even appreciating the extent and the context. But at the end of the day, we deal with the hand that we're dealt, and we try to make the most of it. Not necessarily because of some selfish gain or reward or accolade or otherwise. So, what do we do and how do we do it? Well, give us the answers. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Interestingly, there were a number of individuals during the last couple of weeks who were sort of, perhaps as I paraphrase what I understood to be shared, looking with a level of sort of anxiety that the border's going to open, what's going to happen? And then there were those who looked at it and said, well, you can't continue like this all along. It's just a practical thing to do. But in amongst that, the questions were asked, well, what is, the carrying capacity of our economy? What pressures are all these people and their demands on our infrastructure, on our government services, from roads to healthcare, to education, to even entertainment spaces, to spaces like the beach, the parks, and the like, to accommodate. And there were a couple of different, almost disconnected groups that were sharing the view that we need to consciously look at a plan, not just to grow our population, but the consequences of doing it, and perhaps doing it in a way without proper planning. Now, growth management isn't always easy. We see governments that try to find out how to stimulate economies by doing certain things, or perhaps to slow down the potential of inflation by withdrawing certain projects or taking certain funds out of the economy. But that all has a time lag. It's not like you close your eyes and immediately it goes dark. Or you ever looked at some light fixtures and like the dimmer switch, when you press it, it gradually glows on. Well, even though you've turned it off, there's still a small ambient glow after the light has been, extinguished. And it may last for a few seconds, and for some, it may be for an extended period. Now, those among us that understand more about that would probably, explain why that is. But it's still important to appreciate that not everything happens immediately. Just like the attempt to get healthy. Well, don't expect 10, 15 years of a sedentary, unhealthy lifestyle of eating and not exercising to be immediately, reversed after your first 20-minute exercise, 15 of which you probably spend talking, 3 of which, admiring the new outfit you bought, 1 walk into the studio, and then 15 of the remaining 60 seconds actually considering whether you're going to do the exercise or not. Now, some of us, will go full tilt right away, injure ourselves, and can't do anything again, and say, I see that exercise isn't good for you. Slow and steady, they say, wins the race. Well, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261, and share your thoughts with us. In an early discussion I had, there was a presentation, and thereafter there was some questions and answers, and the word that was sort of put up on the screen was respect. And everybody thought they were going to break out into that song, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. You probably heard it. And the presenter shared as we go to the phones that that's the one thing that's perhaps lacking and sorely missing in our relations. Now, Ms. Tyson earlier perhaps referenced love, but they go hand in hand. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon. All right, well, once that caller is ready, we'll connect up. And for those of you who wish to join us, it's 949-8037. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
No, sir. Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
And to you, sir.
To all the staff. You're the wonderful staff.
Thank you, sir.
PJ came in, and that was quite enlightening listening to Miss Catherine and her daughter there. I believe both of them were on. I heard a little bit of it. And wonderful that she has utilized her education and her God-given talents for use. The thing, I hope they're successful and enjoyed and by people and impressed upon their minds many things. Congratulations also to former Premier Alan McLaughlin on attaining the knighthood and well deserved, and the others, especially Miss Lucille Seymour for her getting awarded and long overdue, Miss Lucille, and very happy to hear that.
Yes, sir.
You were talking earlier on about the difference and what has happened to us here. It's easy to see for those of us who can remember, people over 50 years old. The Cayman, that was even 40 years ago, but it started from 50 years ago when that massive change would begin. We sort of were starting to pull away from our maritime heritage, which was everything that made us what we were, made us great seamen, and made us build these 3 islands, particularly the Grand Cayman, built by the labours of mariners and your wives who remained home to do many things that took a couple to do. They had to fend on their own, and you just look for one thing to start with: the price of land. Say 40 years ago, 45 years ago, $2,000-$3,000 could buy a lot of land. Now the average price is somewhere around $65,000-$70,000. That's a major difference. That hasn't happened in any country I can think of. And then the population growth. At that time, it was predominantly generational Caymanians, 90%. I'd say almost of the 8,000 population, 10,000 population. That's a major difference to what it is now, some 70,000. It may be quite more. We have really no way of knowing. We have no sort of control without direct income tax and really knowing such things and the conditions of people's finances and so forth. It's not really known. We're making good guesses. And I'm not going to bother to debate that on the radio because I'm willing to. I'm no economist, I'm no accountant at all, but I can add 2 and 2 together and get 5. And it's that's where control lies, and it's a major part of our lives that's missing. Some form of direct income tax that gives control to the government and regulation to the government and knowledge. Besides that, we now have, 140 nationalities, and we're saying we're trying to preserve a Caymanian culture as it was. The younger people, as I said, under 50, don't really know what, man, they hear about it from their fathers, mothers, and older brothers or whatever, and they have a sort of grasp on it. But today's youth are interested in one thing mainly, holding a cell phone in their hands and being on that internet, QuickBook, TikTok, whatever it is. Every day there's a new one, Shocky or something, and all kinds of things that distract their attention from reality. Right. And that's what we find. We've been living in a virtual world, and a lot of people have been encouraged to live in this virtual world. And now to get back to the real world where you'll actually have someone folding a bedspread, fixing up a bed, practically, instead of doing it and going over these things on Zoom or whatever. And there we are, and dealing with people in the real world, and now they have to get back to that. And there's a shocker, and they're told, well, we got to get educated. You got to get educated. You didn't know how to fold a bedspread properly, so to go back into tourism, you now have to relearn that on how to mop a floor, how to wash bedspreads and the bedding, sheet linen, so forth, and towels, and how to talk to the people and serve them. I mean, you know, we've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. Anyhow, I won't harp on that because it's but to say that why did we go from this? Those are just a few of the things to show you it is a completely different Cayman. And for many of us, my age, even some younger, to try to grasp onto that and say you have to fit in. If it's even outwardly, if it's even while you're at work, or if it's even when you're amongst public who don't understand what that Cayman was, then do it that way. When we get together privately, we can talk about those things. They're only memories now. Trust me. I know what I'm saying. They're just memories now.
Right. If I could ask you, though, respectfully, I could ask you, those memories they talk about, are we, how do I put this? The Cayman of yesteryear, where there was certain values, a certain ethos, a certain work ethic. Some would say those are the things that made us attractive, made us,
That's part of it, yes, a good part of it.
Are we at risk of, if we don't preserve that, promote that, encourage and nurture it, that we become anything else and it's just another facade? So that, and I say that reflecting on a conversation I've had some people who have been here for a very, very long time. And like you, they recall they came out of yesteryear and what attracted them. And the young Caymanian,
they'll see the same thing now.
No, their concern was that, that safety and security and serenity that we had, that sense of community, it's now being lost. And not
it
just
has to be.
But why? I guess the question was
I
asked.
just explained the reasons to you.
No, but you've given, and I hear you. But I'm asking, does it have to be that way?
It doesn't have to be anyway, but that is what obtains now. You can't roll back the sands of time, so to speak. It can't be undone. It's like a runaway train. You know, it's very difficult to stop it, especially it's going downhill. It's sort of difficult sometimes to understand what I'm saying. That changes every aspect of it, encompasses all the changes. What I was saying, if you take them, you know, one by one, but that now we're going instant. People want an instant answer. They want to see things done instantaneously. We have this thing, we say 1 megabyte. No, we want 5 megabytes. And in such a time frame, millions and millions of pieces of information. But we're the same people. We move at more or less the same speed. That we grasp things at the same speed that we did 40 years, 50 years ago. And many times when you talk about common sense, we had more of that. People would look back on things and say, but this can't be done. And then they try to show you where it was done here on some Facebook thing or something, and come to realize that that's just a hoax. Somebody put that there. You can put anything you want on the internet. There's no law against that.
No responsibility.
No responsibility. But the point is, this instantaneous thing, this wasn't there then. We would stop and explain to people. They'd take them and show them how they cook. They're talking about corn turtle this morning or all that. I know the corn turtle. Most of what my father did, lots of it, was the loggerhead. Loggerhead turtle to me was the best turtle to corn, and best by far. I preferred anyhow to green turtle, but I love turtle meat. I'm happy to have some weekends I've got as many as 3 turtle dinners to last me out through the next week.
Wow.
I'm very happy about that.
Yes, sir.
But young people wouldn't understand and keep away from that. What our fathers did that made them real heroes without landing them in jail and so forth. And this is major changes, and it changes everything. It changes the outlook of the older Caymanian. We're confused. We're wondering whether we're upsetting someone if we tell them about that, or if we talk to the young people about it. And when you listen to how they're speaking to their parents and all that, the music that they listen to, and so forth, that would be censored on radio just 30 years ago. They can listen to music now that was only allowed to be played on a jukebox in a barroom for adults. I'm telling you that. I listen to it and I hear the same old tune regurgitated. That makes a difference. I don't give a damn what anyone wants to say. Sorry to use that on the radio. But it makes a big difference. Those things are very impressive. Very, very impressive. That music you hear pounding all the while, a lot of it is in bad words. Pounding out. And this is it. This is what has come to be accepted as normal. These things, so therefore, if the norm has changed, everything else around it, circulating around it, will move away further and further. So this is what has transpired. You just have to learn to face this fact. Come to grips with it. It's a very, very different Cayman. You try and fit in. At my age, I can't make much of a difference at all. I can talk about it. I can speak about it with friends and sit and laugh and reminisce about great things, even mishaps that happened to us. And at the time, it was very troubling, but now we look back with great fun at it and so forth. That is the life we live on. As I said, it's a series of memories. That's life. Many of my great friends of my close family have gone on. So therefore, it's a series of memories, and that's how I live. I'll continue that way. I make no New Year's resolutions. I've never made one, and I have no intention to make one. I'm thankful God has given me privilege to see another year come by, and I'll carry on as long as He gives me the strength to keep continuing to work, and I'll be working. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much. Others may disagree with me. Others may lambast or criticize what I say, but I stand by what I just said. Thank you so very, very much.
You're most welcome, sir. Day. You too. God bless. And thank you for sharing the perspective, and it may encourage some of you as he shares, and you may disagree, but I am inclined to think that a lot of us would agree to some of the things. But even if we disagree, we can do so respectfully, and we can counter with something constructively. So let's see where the discussion takes us. 949-8037. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Give us a shout after this break.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Honorable Minister of Health and Wellness, Ms. Sabrina Turner, would like to wish all Cayman Island residents a happy and prosperous new year. Prospect residents, you are invited to a free health screening by Public Health Thursday, January 6 from 4 until 7 p.m. at the Constituency Office of Minister Turner at number 33 Marina Drive, Prospect. COVID-19 vaccinations will be available. For more information on the health screening, call 746-9314.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
As we head into the new year, the team at Travel Cayman want to say a very special thank you to everyone in quarantine and isolation from the people of the Cayman Islands. They know how painful it can be to sacrifice the time with loved ones, especially over the holidays. The community is grateful for all that you are doing to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Thank you for stepping up in these tough times. The goal is to protect all those who are vulnerable. This may include faces you do not know, but also many that you know and love. Visit www.exploregov.ky/coronavirus to learn more about the resources available. To the persons in quarantine or isolation, the Travel Cayman team would like to wish you a happy and healthy new year.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And dial us up. Toll free at 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, or WhatsApp 925-3261. The caller prior, as he always shares his perspective, is very insightful. His wisdom provides great counsel, and he reminds us that if we want to promote and preserve what is important to us, so we've got to look to the value system that we once treasured within our homes. What examples as the adults, the parents that we're setting for our children, consciously and unconsciously. Take the amount of time as parents we complain about our children on their digital devices, the distractions that they have. Well, how much time are we on ours? We can justify it and say, well, we've got to do it for work. And maybe we do. But saying and doing, and knowing and doing something about it, not always the same. So are we able to find time in that very busy, hectic lives that we lead, trying to ensure that our children are, what is it that we say, well-rounded and adjusted, getting them introduced to as many activities so that they can find their niche and they can, develop into that very, very wholesome child and a teen, a full potential. But can we carve out time for ourselves? Whether it's evening sail or a little bit of game in the backyard, perhaps just around a table, we'll play some dominoes or cards or some board game or otherwise, or just even talk over a meal. No, not only that amount of time that we spend on the devices without realizing that it's the same as our children, maybe not the full day, but what about exercise and activity? We say, Johnny, you need to go outside and get a little sunshine and play, move a little bit. But are we able to do that? Are we finding time to do it? We're busy, we're working, we got to pay bills, understandably so. But not even just the physical exercise or the time in the sense of how much we spend being distracted by the digital divide. But what about just time to regroup and think, to allow the brain to recharge, allow our thoughts to ruminate through our minds so that we can find a sense of constructiveness and pensiveness. Are we doing that? That mental health and well-being that we hear so much about these days. We may have wellness checks as part of our corporate environment, but they're probably just ticking a box. Now, so much that's happening within our shores that we probably take for granted and don't realize is unfolding. And as we look at the rest of the world, are we considering, say for instance, Florida is just a Cayman Airways flight away. We miss the times we would go there to see our family and friends and to get away for a bit. Almost like a second home for some of us. In fact, many of us probably had homes over there. How is the rest of the world living? And if it's a place of imprisonment, is that what we want for ourselves? Is it a place of freedom and joyful celebration? Are we having that here, responsibly and respectfully? Are there things that are unfolding, whether legislative changes, whether new policies that are being introduced, programs that have either been underfunded or cut altogether, whether in schools or communities? Are we looking at that and understanding the consequence to our own? And then what is it that we're doing or not doing that could either help or hinder? Well, again, it comes back to that sense of reflection and that sense that we should not just be spectators but active participants in this game of life. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And as the year gets underway and the day unfolds, well, we're going to make it the best, the most productive, and perhaps, there's some joy to be found. Well, you always appreciate, as Caitlin and Catherine Tyson shared, the team behind the scenes that we don't see, what makes it seem seamlessly, so that we can enjoy it, as the audience. Well, to DJ Carl and all the wonderful team, well, public thanks again. That is the discretion and the direction. We're going to pause and take the quarter two break. And when we come back, well, give us a shout and let's hear from you. Stay tuned.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. And just during the break, someone quickly shared a thought with us relative to the comment we just made about freedoms and the like. And unfortunately, I do apologize to the person, and as he said, sometimes during conversations like this, you don't want to be too public because my words, inferring from what I think he was trying to get to, recognizing it's a short break, so we don't really have time to get into great explanation. But we are more inclined to listen to people if we, have some value in them, but we are so quick to discard, the message because we don't care for the messenger. And he was alluding to the public demonstrations that we've been seeing recently by the young lady, and asking, to what extent, not just that it could be, sort of a public blight, but what are we doing to address issues? He said, other groups have assembled to protest conditions, or whether it's the individual who may feel, because of an asylum sort of application being mistreated, or it is the separation of families of their parents and children, or the like. Is it that the individual who has the voice and the sign able to garner greater attention, or is it that the cause? He said, for instance, at this time of year, public appeals by charitable organizations for money for pets that have been abandoned, or for children that are homeless and hungry, may tug at us much more than they might in the height of summer. Now, it's not just the psychological impact that such would have on us. He's questioning, where is the humanity in us to appreciate that just like the person for whom you're caring for, you do that every day, all day, not just Monday through Friday, whether it's a meal, but it's for the wider community to appreciate that when something isn't right, that is addressed and acknowledged, it's not ignored and the person discarded. So where are we in that light? Well, you tell us. 949-8037. Toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Honestly encouraged by the words of our team behind the scenes sometimes, and their actions to remind us that end of the day, we are alive and we should be thankful. We can move even if it's a bit painful because we started our exercise routine and the muscles not used to doing anything other than sitting. But it's about getting up. The most effective exercise program would probably tell you got to do two things. Exercise, move, and then moderate and sensibly eat. What you do put into your bodies matter. But yet, we spend a lot of time, on energy and money on a lot of things that really have little to do with improving who we are, especially, our relations with each other. So, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. But when we look at the public acknowledgement, the awards that we give, I like the call earlier, the former premier, now Sir Alden, I think we look at it and some of us will very, very gladly, not only publicly, privately, celebrate. Some would draw alongside because they want to get on what may be a bandwagon and, get whatever may come with it. Others will still say, well, it's just an award, it's not this and that. But the question is, at the end of the day, when we see people attain something and recognized and rewarded for their efforts, their service, and their sacrifice, how do we feel about it? And what does that do for us, the recipient? When we critique and analyze it, are we constructive, open and honest? And does it propel us to do even greater things? I think back to some of the things that have transpired in sport throughout the years, and an athlete may decide, this time around, think of, was it Dale Thompson, in the decathlon way back when. Think to Carl Lewis and the like. Some may even look at historical records and remember Jesse Owens. And, is it possible that those athletes when they did a personal best. They may have won that race, got the goal in it and the like. Were they trying to better that, to improve themselves? They were competing against themselves. For some, they may not have even placed in any of the qualifying heats, but the next time around, they tried their very best through training and preparation to improve the performance of the time before. Self-improvement, self-development. There are those of us who do that because we want to be better now than we were prior. Not better than others, just better. And for some, they reward and recognize their efforts. And for others, they never find peace and joy because there is no self-love. Now, for some of us, we are perhaps just a little bit too arrogant and condescending. But for others, a little bit of self-love and a greater sense of self-worth would raise our self-esteem and self-confidence and help us to be that much better. You may think, well, is there a fine line between arrogance and confidence? Well, much more equipped and qualified would probably tell you yes and tell you the difference. But the question is, do you love yourself enough to do the best for you, to make time? Many of us give to others willingly at great expense of ourselves, or time, or talent, or treasure, but we will not do the same for ourselves. The need sometimes to just walk by the seashore and smell the salt air, to dip toes in the water, to feel the sun on the feet, how it would invigorate the soul. We know how therapeutic, how almost essential it is for our well-being, but we don't. Well, why is that? We don't have time, we say. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling. Good afternoon. I know one or two of you have messaged to say that for some reason you've tried calling and can't get through. It never seems one or two have tried, and unfortunately there's an issue. We will work on that. We will get that fixed, and we'll see how it goes. So what is it to say? The show goes on, and when you are dealt with certain things, well, how do you respond? Many of us will throw a tantrum, and when they say hiss a fit, be the prima donnas and the like, and some of us will go along just to get along. Others will, position ourselves to make the best of it. Think about it. You went under your lime tree, and there, because of the sudden wind, most of the limes have fallen. Well, you may complain. Others will say, well, at least now I don't have to make such an effort and get, if you let me say the word, instead of pricked, I can say jugged by what are really, sharp prickles on the lime tree. You can just reach in with your rake and pull them out. So you may see that as a blessing. Others would say, oh, those limes fell off. And some would say, ooh, glad that we had limes to fall off. You take them inside, and some you have to discard because, well, you didn't get to them fast enough. But some will say, oh, that's a lot of limes. What am I going to do with these? Others will go, well, I'll squeeze them and preserve them for future by freezing them because we have that ability. Some would say, I'll share and give them to others. And some would say, you know what, squeeze it up, add some brown sugar, or my preference, some honey, and make a nice beverage. Others would say, I got some fish I want to fry, some pies I want to make. There are things we can do. It's a matter of perspective, We make hay while the sun shines. We say to strike the hammer while the iron is hot. But do we? Do we indeed? 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. And as we go into our headline news at 2, I'm reminded to think sometimes that that which is before us and offered, those people who come into our lives and are a blessing, who do for us what others may never have done or haven't in a long time. That sense of improving who we are, making us feel special, being a sense of want and love and care and compassion and concern provides, a great companionship. Are we able and willing to embrace it? Are we not just grateful for it, but how do we actively embrace it? Is it that life takes its turn and is unpredictable, even when we try to navigate what we think, is the intracoastal leading out to the open sea. We're not realizing sometimes that, we're not the best captain on board the vessel and unwilling to step aside and take instruction, or that perhaps the vessel we're on shouldn't have pulled away from port. Well, there comes the sense of arrogance or the sense of confidence proven by expertise and experience. So after Headline News at 2, would you share with me your insight and instruction? Provide your guidance and counsel, so at the end of the day we can see what is important. And maybe as we move about in the new year, especially in the first few weeks, maybe we will appreciate our impact on our surrounding environment, the physical environment, the people that are around us, the impact that we have on them by what we say, by what we do, and sometimes by what we should do but don't, what we wish we had said but never did. Well, hopefully it's not too late. So 949-8037, toll free at 1-800-534-8255. We'll pause and take the news at 2. When we come back, give Paul a call. He's right there, so standing by. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Ministry of Home Affairs announces the appointment of Melissa Rivas and Erica E. Banks to the posts of Acting Director and Acting Deputy Director in the Department of Community Rehabilitation. DCR is responsible for providing intervention programs, quality supervision, and rehabilitation of offenders in the community. In international news, France is allowing health workers who are infected with the coronavirus but have few or no symptoms to keep treating patients rather than isolate. An extraordinary stopgap measure aimed at alleviating staff shortages at hospitals and other medical facilities caused by an unprecedented explosion in infections. The special exemption to France's quarantine rules being rolled out to hospitals, elderly care homes, doctors' offices, and other essential health services testifies to the growing strain being placed on the French medical system by the fast-spreading Omicron variant. And North Korea fired a ballistic missile into the sea on Wednesday. The U.S. military said its first weapons launch in about 2 months, and a signal it isn't interested in rejoining denuclearization talks anytime soon and would rather focus on boosting its weapons arsenal. The launch came after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un vowed to further strengthen his military capability without disclosing any policies toward the United States or South Korea at a high-profile ruling party conference last week. Those are your headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And to the gentleman who was trying earlier, like the rest of you, give us a shout on 949-6990. I do apologize. Sometimes, it's the gremlins in the system. We love technology, it leverages for us, and we just need to be patient and understanding and kind and considerate. And I have absolute confidence in a wonderful team over at Flow. So we'll get it sorted out. But in the meantime, our call is right there. And we'll see. We go to the other line, 949-6990. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah, just doing a test.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Okay, welcome.
Appreciate it very much. And how have a wonderful and blessed New Year to you. And for those who want, sometimes maybe you're like me, oh man, I planned for this and this should be working. Well, it doesn't always, They say it isn't anything other than adversity builds character. So just when things go one way, well, how we respond to it determines a lot as well. So 949-6990 is the other line that you can use if you want to call. And we certainly want to hear from you. It's amazing when we look at where we are in our own personal lives, when we look at our country, and to appreciate. Yes, it was 2003 that we celebrated our quincentennial. Now, we have to go on that based on the historical record and assume that, when it was recorded, that it was actually recorded accurately and over the years was preserved. There are many of us who believe that our history go back even a long, long time before that. Common sense would probably tell you it probably did. I would also probably say that any semblance of settlement, a long-term sort of living, probably wasn't. But maybe it still played an important role. And if you think of the freshwater supply that we read and hear about in various history books and accounts, to the way the turtling and that provision was so important, you would have to think that that was a practice that was in existence for a very, very, very long time. It just didn't start overnight and someone said, oh, this is a good idea. I mean, can you imagine? Cast your minds back to a time when there was still a level of exploration. There weren't the GPS and the satellites that we have now. And even now, those of us that may have that equipment, if we're ill-equipped and unskilled, and we go to the North Sound, there's still a few high heads, pan shoals, reefs, and little shallow bottoms that we've seen in many a boat go aground. That's even now. So can you imagine back then, 500, 600, 700 years ago, people traversing the seas. Look at where Cayman is on the map. I think about how it would be to find us. If you didn't know what you were doing and where you were going, you would probably miss it. Or if you did and you hit, it would probably be reef. Either way, one would think that the indigenous peoples of the region probably had what many today still call a gem. The question is, do we respect it? Are we doing anything to preserve it? And as we promote it, is it only for the marketing dollar for that quick return? Or is it to ensure that it's cherished for generations and generations to come? The caller earlier referenced the notion of the cost of land. Well, is it because of inflation that we're seeing the increases? Is it the competition, as you shared, with the increasing population? People are willing to bid up the price, just like an auction. Something's up for sale and someone wants it and offers a higher bid than the person prior who counters, or maybe there's somebody else. Are those things happening? What is the potential solution to address it? Many jurisdictions, not just in the Caribbean, have proposed limiting who can own land or how land can be owned. Is that a viable solution? Some of you would say yes, others would quickly and openly disagree. The same with the ownership of cars. Now, we might say, well, there are other jurisdictions that said cars can't be of this size, whether, the engine power or the length, so it has to be cut and modified. But some would share, well, if a person has 10 cars, is it possible that a person can drive more than one car at a time? Now, those of us that are skillful at riding our bicycles would be able to ride one as we laid the other one. Some of us would have a challenge just pushing the bicycle. But I don't know that it's possible to drive more than one car at a time. And then there would be some who would say, well, why would you want more than one car? Well, think of the car enthusiasts, like the model boat, hobbyists who collecting them, to the person who may have a backyard garden filled with orchids. Well, you look at that one and then you look at the other. Maybe you stand back and you admire them all, but you focus on one or two. The notion of multitasking is probably a fallacy. You can't probably do more than one thing properly. So that person has a stable of cars can enjoy them if they can afford them, if they are roadworthy, and the person opts to have all the vehicles licensed and insured. Is that not more revenue, for the country? If the person decides, you know what, I'm going to take all 10 of those vehicles out and 9 of their friends will drive them, well, that's 9 people who are licensed drivers who are driving vehicles that are not their own. But it's no different than those 10 individuals driving their private vehicles than 10 people driving the vehicles belong all to the same person. Again, can you drive more than one vehicle at a time? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. We look increasingly, there are many of us who are considering where we are relative to what is happening across the globe, and being absolutely thankful that we still can look with a semblance of hope and satisfaction that the democracies are being celebrated and championed. Perhaps there'll be great peace and prosperity. Here's a WhatsApp. Let's share that in the spirit of being open and transparent and ensuring that our voice is accessible to all. This message reads: Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. Happy New Year to you, your family, and the entire Radio Cayman team and their families. So how much longer does the government intend to allow, and we're going to read it verbatim, this filthy, shameless person to continue to disrespect our government and the Cayman Islands with all the vulgarness she continues to display daily on our government building? I am seen by a video Cayman Road posted with her behavior just a little over an hour ago at the entrance door of the government admin building. This is absolutely sickening to see, and more sick is the fact that anyone that is respectful of others or themselves would take time to video her worthlessness. Now, there are many of us who would share, well, we shouldn't discredit people, we shouldn't, add flavor to it, but why not? Why should parliamentary privilege only sort of fall to those who were elected while in session? Or why should certain immunities only be to those who have a diplomatic passport? Or why should not a society voice its views on something? They go to a restaurant and they had an absolutely fantastic service. The food was exceptional. Why can't they say publicly, oh, it's great? Take responsibility for their actions. But likewise, if they went and they were treated with contempt, they felt discredited and an element of prejudice, why can't they say so publicly? Now, our laws should exist that allow people who feel that they've been unfairly treated to have redress. If they have been defamed, to be able to do so. Perhaps the questions that need to be asked are: one, is the access to the justice system unfettered? Is it because of just the way that you access it, creating within people this perhaps unfounded sense that it's an impediment? Perhaps it is the cost. Maybe those are the things that need to be addressed. Sometimes it isn't that the thing eludes us, it's that we have a perception that we can't access it because we don't have this, that, or the next thing. But likewise, should not a person who feels aggrieved at something be able to openly and publicly demonstrate? If they do, should there be certain conditions that do not necessarily hinder, hamper, or somehow deny that freedom of expression, but should there be a level of societal expectation as to how that is done? As an example, if someone takes a bullhorn or some other means to more loudly share their thoughts, should they not assemble in a public space and voice their concerns? Now, you might say no, not unless they get a permit. Well, is that a restriction and a hindrance? You might say yes, but the societal norm is that they can't, curse. They can't be naked. They can't use some other offensive gesture or the like. Now, some of us would say, well, wait a minute, they shouldn't be allowed to take the flag of the nation and set it on fire and defecate it and the like. Others would just say, well, why not? That's their expression as to the contempt that they feel for that thing that's been done in that country or is being done, perhaps by the government or by some other authority. Now, therein lies the debate and the maturity. But again, if a teacher in a classroom has 30 students and all 30 at one time, in unison says something, then it's discernible and comprehensible. But if they all are talking and nobody can understand what is being said by the other, that's not productive. So, is the teacher able to properly manage the classroom time and have every single child give an opinion so that they all feel heard? But when we look at that from that setting and we fast forward to society, how we quell that innate sort of calling that some of us feel to be able to publicly express. Well, let's pause and take this final break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. This year, a new rule was placed on fishing for grouper that says no one can fish for nass or grouper anywhere in Cayman from December 1st to April 30th while they're spawning. There is also no fishing allowed at all for any kinds of fish in the spawning zones, and no scuba diving there either. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad had taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing your thoughts as we go to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne. How are you doing?
Very well. How about yourself?
I can't complain at all.
You're not one that would complain.
I got a video today, Sterling. Disturbs me greatly. It's this lady. I don't know who she is. I know where she's from originally, but what the authorities are doing about it anyway?
Well,
because she is completely disgracing the country. Nothing else. Disgracing the country. You're going to tell me under the mental health law that they can't do something to her if she's mad? Come on. Are they enjoying it? It's a disgrace. Uttermost disgrace.
What would you suggest? I mean, is it... what should they do? You're in authority. You're the commissioner of police. You're the governor. What would you do?
Well, I'm going to tell you what was done to a Caymanian born and bred. They locked him up.
Arrested under mental health law? Or what?
This young man had a issue as well. And if he's on medication, he's fine. But he was walking, and it's a thin line. And honestly, it was no more disgrace than what she was. And I know the young man very well, very well educated and so forth. And that has blackballed him from even getting a job. Because he had walked naked in the streets.
Right. But it's kind of interesting, right? We and just looking at sort of police reports in the media and the like, we read about as an example, we read about an incident. Somebody uses a knife or attacks somebody else, and it's aggravated assault. What would appear, again, just from what you read, you weren't there, similar incident occurs, but it's attempted murder, all right? And you have to wonder sometimes, how is it that, and of course the people making that determination has access to, much more information than perhaps is reported. We have to wonder sometimes, why is it that what seemed like very similar circumstances, the charges for one is more serious than the charge for the other?
Well, that appears to be what goes on. Because I've known people to make threats to kill, and nothing happened to them. Absolutely nothing. Then another man can make a threat, and before the word leaves, the last word leaves their lips, the police are there to arrest them.
And then you find someone very inflamed, maybe for whatever reason, just ranting and raving, but no imminent threat to anybody else, being arrested, as you said, for something very serious, when another person is in the act of physically committing something and no arrests or no charges or a much minor thing. Again, we don't know the full circumstances to what transpired, right?
The thing is, I have seen this lady, and I put it decently. I said, lady, myself, not just a video. I've seen it myself. And the way that she is going on, the vulgarness, whether you're naked or you're on, you're dressed with what she have on is barely anything to call clothing anyway. But whether you call it being nude or doing a vulgar act, you have people that walk the street, young ladies, and men come up and make lewd remarks at them, and they get arrested for it. They don't touch, they just make lewd remarks. But this young lady can go out there and demonstrate vulgarness, and people stand up, take video of it, and you would say laugh about it. It's a disgrace.
Well,
and that is what kind of culture is coming into our country now.
Well, whether it's coming in, are we as a society?
I can guarantee you one thing: it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, but is that the sign of the times globally? I mean, that we are now more tolerant, accepting, promoting of things. A caller earlier talked about the music that's being played now, even on radio, right? Globally, not just in this country.
But I don't want to get to that one.
Right. was once perhaps only reserved for adult company in licensed premises, right? But let's also...
And he's correct on that one.
Right, and let's look at also the behaviors. There was probably a time when some of us, not that old, could remember the television turned off at a certain hour at night, not by the parents, but by the industry, when certain shows weren't shown at all until after certain hours, right? The question is, to what extent is this society looking at its values, its morals, and the norms, and saying, well, you know what, it's a free-for-all, nothing really matters anyway? Or is it that those who would say, well, you know what, you can say and do, but there's a level of responsibility and accountability. When those people say that, the rest would jump in and say, oh, no, you are fascist and you're this and that, and so you can't, control. Think to the parent who may say to the child, even the teenage child, listen, you got certain freedoms and the like, but these are the rules. In the house, you do this, you can't do this. You are allowed to do this, not that. Would that parent be supported and encouraged by other parents, or would it be that, oh no, you're a bad parent? You're being involved and you're concerned and you're providing this level of instruction. We have to wonder.
Well, I gotta be honest with you, Sterling Dwayne.
Mm-hmm.
They would have to class me as a bad parent. Because I can do chastisement to my children, which I did.
Mm-hmm. But it's that level of discipline, right? And I think sometimes we misinterpret, misapply that word. But I'm thinking to, again, just as an example, we look at our children and their friends. To what extent are we involved in their lives? And if we're not, is it because our friends who are also parents, and maybe the videos that we watch, the classes we take, and whatever else that we're learning from society, oh no, you got to give your child space. You can't be up in the child's business. Well, how is the child going to learn if the child doesn't understand that you're helping them to set boundaries, you're helping them to understand that there's a level of expectation and decency and all these things that will one day we're going to want from that child when that child is running for political office or is heading up there.
They're not get that far, do you?
Yeah, the company. Well, you see, that's the thing, right? And to your point, with any public demonstration, think of it, right? The aspiring political, person has a public meeting and gets up and let's just use the word, lambasts the present government for its failure to do this, or condemns something. Would the community rally behind that person and say, yeah, that's the person who stands up for us and champion the rights of the worker, or whatever the case is, as we've seen from the examples in history? Or will we quickly shoot that person down and say, you can't be doing this? First off, you need a permit to assemble. If we would do that in that case, what about the single individual in the public space doing something similarly?
Correct. You gotta go by this. I know you like country music too. Aaron Tippin.
Yeah.
You gotta stand for something, or you fall for anything.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You see, I don't think that we understand the importance of standing up. But I can say though, how many of us have already been made to feel that should we in fact stand for something, speak out, that it's going to be a bad thing, right?
It happened to me, Dwayne. So I don't have anything to hide, anything to worry about. I just got to go on living till I die.
Well,
and believe you me, I have been victimized till you can't believe that that kind of victimization would go on. But did it take anything from me speaking out? Not a bit.
And can you imagine that? You didn't run for political office.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I thought about it a couple of times, but I didn't.
Well, I've said this before.
You made a step forward. I didn't.
Yeah, I think it's, and this is my view, and if it's incorrect, I certainly will take it on advisement and be,
Yeah.
I think every single one of us that are eligible should do things when it comes to politics. Get registered to vote, and seriously consider getting involved, whether as a candidate or supporting the candidate or candidates of our choice. Right?
Of your choice.
This is what makes our democracy healthy, that we participate, you know.
And the thing is, it's not a good staying in behind closed doors, Sterling Dwayne, and saying, oh boy, you know, they're doing this, they're doing that. But hey, look, what part do you have in it? Do you have a vote? No. Well, why didn't you get rid? Oh, well, no. Get out there and have your say.
That's it, man. Yeah, and I would like to see that, ability to follow us, and to get registered to vote is relatively easy. Let's just make the effort, man. So, but your point.
Wait till I got 18.
Well, I was like you, man. I got registered, and I remember the people looked at me going, as if something was wrong. I'm thinking, I understand this freedom and this right a little bit too much, and it's too important. I wanted to be a part of it, so I gave myself the gift. All right, man.
Take care and all the best.
God bless, man. Thank you, too. All right. Let's take one more call if we can. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon again, Sterling Day. I know you don't have much time, but I agree with that caller.
Mm-hmm.
And with democracy, we got to set certain standards, or we won't survive.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps us healthy. It's setting certain standards, and you've got to live that standard or above the bar. Sometimes it's painful, but sometimes lessons can't be learned unless you learn with some pain. And you learn that you must be punished and so forth. That happens in life. And I agree with him. The country song, I'd like to hear you. I love country. That's my thing. I love music, but country is my special thing. I go a long ways back with that. It's Merle Haggard's song. And you're running down my country, friend. You're getting on
the fighting side of me.
Side of me. So thank you.
You want to hear that one?
A wonderful day. Yes, I'd like to hear that. I guess others may want to hear it all.
All right.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, sir. God bless. And if it's okay, DJ call. I'll ask him. The gentleman that just called requested that song, Merle Haggard. If he can find it, if you're running down the countryman, you're running down, you're walking on the fighting side of me. I liked Merle Haggard and Ernest Tubb. I appreciate my daddy would come home from sea and he would have some new records sometimes, man. And just the way it was, Jim Reeves and the like. I think many of us later on appreciated Johnny Cash, but Hank Williams. All right, well, if it's there and Fox can play it, he'll put it on. He probably prefer a Kaiso instead of a country, but let's see how it goes. Close the show with a quote from Booker T. Washington that one of our great ladies sent to us. And I put the screen far enough from my lens, maybe I can see it. It says, a lie doesn't become truth, wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by a majority. And I was attributed to Booker T. Washington. The question is, are we sitting idly by and doing nothing when we see injustices unfold before our eyes? Are we in a position of authorities, whether it's the judge or other, and seeing something and understanding that even on an issue of technicality, that there's a miscarriage of justice? Or are we the parent and showing favoritism, the promoter within the organization because of some reward, or knowingly doing something that accrues to others at the expense of the rest? Or are we standing in the gap, being forthright, as honest as we can be? And are we rallying together to build a safer, stronger, healthier nation? One that is safe, secure, and stable. One where the political pundits know that they can act not with impunity, but with the sense that they have the rallying cry of the community, and not divided by something that separates us but unifies us by that great thing that brings us all together, love. Well, Fox, thanks for finding that song. To the listeners for being a part of it. Again, apologies for the challenges with the phone lines. Hopefully it'll be resolved tomorrow. His Excellency the Governor will be our guest for a bit, and certainly available to stay as long as he is able to. Well, let the song take you. Let the lyrics remind you.